for joining us today. My name is Yusuf Jilani. I am a release train engineer and Agile transformation coach. Okay, so I would like to welcome you to Agile Product Management and Prioritization Technique webinar with William Corsina. So before we get started, I want to cover some housekeeping items. If you are experiencing any technical difficulty, please try logging out and logging in. This webinar is being recorded and that will be available to you. We'll send you the recorded webinar links typically within 1 or 2 days. All participants remain muted during webinar. Once William completes webinar, we will open for questions. You could ask any questions in chat box. I think chat box is, it is on your right side, I guess. If you run out of time, we will answer your remaining questions in a document. This document will be available when William has a chance to review it and put it on our website. All right, so now I would like to introduce you to William Corsina. William is a certified SPC. He worked in various transformation projects in the past 10 years, and he provides safe guidance to organizations such as Philips, Rolls-Royce, KPMG, and many others. His advice helped many companies in adopting agility and work more effectively. Furthermore, William is co-founder and chief product manager and advisor at Lean Icon Technologies. Yeah. So, all right, now, William, take it away. The floor is yours now. William, we can't hear you.
Thank you, Yusuf. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, now.
Fantastic. I was making sure you could hear me loud and clear. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. And I'm really excited to be sharing on product management. It's been my bread and butter. And over the years, I've always loved talking about how we manage projects to deliver value to our customers. So on our agenda, we'll be looking at challenges experienced by product managers. We'll also be looking at a typical organization and how prioritization impacts the delivery of value. We'll also take a look at the product manager role, safe agile events, creating the product backlog, talk a bit about design thinking, and then we would finish off with the prioritization techniques, more importantly, focusing on the weighted shortest job first. We'll take some questions at the end, and you can also send your questions in the questions box. The product manager role has got loads of challenges, and this slide typically describes it for me more than often. You can see the runners, everyone wants to win, but we've got a few people who are falling, and such challenges what product managers will be experiencing in their role. And in this particular session, before I start sharing on the product manager role, I would like to open a poll just to know who is joining us so that I can also align the content to the attendees. So we'll have a quick poll and it will just be for about 1 minute. Select your role, and once we know your role, I'll be guiding the information as we go along based on the attendees. So let me go back into our polls. I'll be sharing a poll. So let's have a look. Yusuf, can you see the poll? We've got, yeah.
Yeah, we can see the poll.
Good, good, good. So we'll wait for another 20 seconds for people to answer the poll, and then we'll go ahead. Okay, thank you. I'm going to end the poll now. Yep. So we've got 40% agile coaches, 20% business owners, product managers, and then we've got a director, 20% directors, which is a good spread of roles we're looking for. And the content has been put together in a way that the roles I see are the key roles I was looking for to share this particular content with. So I'll continue straight ahead. So back to the slide of the challenges. And as we all know, product managers serve as mini CEOs within the organizations, and they have to take so many decisions, and the decisions would range from having discussions around product strategy, sharing product vision, and engaging with various stakeholders at all stages. And this various stages of engagement brings various challenges for the product owner and product manager as they take the product through its various stages. So let's look at this particular questions. What are some of the challenges you have experienced as product managers in your roles? What I would like you to do is to type it into the chat area, and we'll be collating them and sharing them as part of the slides we'll be sending out after the session. What are some of the challenges you've experienced? So do add them in the chat area and we'll be collating them. What are some of the challenges you see? We'll be taking on. If you identify any challenges you've experienced as a product owner, product manager, please do type it in, and I'll also share the challenges I have experienced and in my discussions with various. Yep, balancing expectations from many stakeholders. Yes, indeed, those are key challenges. So as we go along, feel free to add your challenges, and it's a very important topic for me, managing those challenges, because if a product owner could deal with those challenges, it just helps them in delivering value to the customer. Sizing of stories and velocity of work. Yep, definitely. Any other challenges you identify as a product owner, product manager? Okay, so from my discussions with product managers and from my own experiences, these are some of the challenges I have seen experienced by product managers and product owners in organizations. One, dependency management. Managing dependency across the product backlog is a big challenge for most product managers. If you're able to deal with dependencies, that helps projects, or that helps product delivery. And if you fail to manage dependencies, that could also impact the delivery of value to the customer. So as a product manager, dependency management is one of the key things you'll be looking at. Overstretch on product management roles, engaging the right stakeholders, changing business and market priorities. And as Mikhail shared earlier, prioritizing the product backlog with stakeholders who've got changing priorities, lack of available resources, changes in team members, lack of clarity. These are all key things that lead to challenges for the product owner, product manager. Competing business priorities. Continuously with product owners, they need to engage with the CEOs or the senior leaders on managing competing priorities. And as a product owner or product manager, your role is to make sure that you engage all the stakeholders throughout all the stages. These are many challenges, and each one I'll be presenting on as a webinar. So for future webinars, do look out for managing dependencies, measuring business benefits as a product manager. But in this particular session, what we will be looking at is getting clarity around strategy and prioritizing the product backlog with stakeholders. I have seen that in most discussions, most of my or most of the people I have coached will say, yeah, we don't have a clear strategy. I look around and I want to ask questions around strategy, and no one is able to help me answer those. So if we had a clear strategy within the organization, that would help me in prioritizing the products. Other discussions around strategy are, William, we are a big organization, and strategy goes through various stages before it gets to us. So being able to understand the strategy for my department, it's quite hard. So how do I know, or how do I align my strategy with the products I am working on? I'll share some tips on aligning product strategy and how that can help product owners and product managers on their journey. The second area is prioritizing product backlogs with stakeholders. That will be the second area we'll look at. So the first area we'll look at lack of clarity in strategy, and secondly, prioritizing product backlog with stakeholders. So when I am delivering trainings, I use the Marshmallow challenge to help people engage and start talking to each other, and also to help form teams. One thing I've realized with the Marshmallow is whenever teams start, they think it's an easy task. But when they start getting into the Marshmallow challenge, they then realize, this is a difficult task. The spaghettis are very, the spaghettis can easily break. It's not easy to put the marshmallow on top. The sellotape does not hold very well. And those are some of the challenges people experience when trying to build the spaghetti or when going through the spaghetti challenge. For what I have shared so far, I would like to know how you're feeling about the session. So I'll run a quick poll just to know your thoughts about getting into this particular session and what you're expecting out of the session. So let me run a quick check-in poll. How are you showing up right now? I really would like to know how you are showing up right now. I will end the poll now. Most of the attendees have answered the poll. So it's so interesting. 57% are feeling very curious. 14% are very glad, and 29% are open to listening, which is awesome. Yeah, so let me move on. So the first area we will discuss is aligning organizational strategy. And when we take a look at organizational strategy, it goes back to leadership. And the topic around leadership is very broad, but one thing that's so important about leadership is leadership are the only people who can change the system and who can change what's happening. Having the right leaders in place enables the organization to have a strategy. Without the right leadership, or without the right people taking the role of leadership, we are unable to understand our vision. We will lack clarity in our mission. We will lack clarity in our values. So selecting the right leaders is very important. And in many cases, leaders come in many shapes, many forms, or they are people who would have different experiences. And each person has got their own leadership skills. And if we are bringing in leaders within the organization, we want leaders who are passionate about the organization and then would help transform the organization for the long term. When we have transformational leaders who are geared towards changing the organization for the long term. They tend to rally around to create a vision that everyone will buy into. They will tend to create a mission which all the team members can also align into. And then we have clear values. Values serve as the foundation for a good culture within the organization. And then they can create various tactical documents to help implement the strategy. The strategy forms the long-term plan for the organization. And in these times, as we are all experiencing lockdowns, some strategies are changing, and we need very good leaders to lead the way in um, changing the strategies, adapting the strategies to meet our current priorities. So, what's the role of the leader? The leader needs to set up a clear vision, a clear mission. The leaders need to set up clear values that they themselves will serve as an example of. And if you have a leader who says one thing and does the other, it does not really portray a good culture. They can also use the balanced business scorecard as a tool to create the tactical plan for the strategy. And when carrying out strategy analysis, they can use the SWOT analysis, which looks at the internal, external analysis of the environments within the organization. When you work out this, when you use the SWOT analysis as a research tool, going through workshop service, the internal analysis looks at the internal organization, and we can use our most analysis resource audit to understand our current strengths and our current weaknesses. Then we can use the opportunities and threats to understand our current, we can use the external analysis to understand our opportunities and threats. If we have a good overview of those can be synthesized into the balanced business scorecard, where we'll look at areas of finance, identify critical success factors, identify business objectives, and then identify initiatives which can become products that will be delivered by the team. As leaders, we want to make sure that we create this set of documents, this set of guiding items that will set up the culture within the organization. And if we do not have them in place, we tend to have a culture that does not promote a good health within the organization. So we always want to promote a good culture within the organization. And we want to put in place the right vision, the right mission, the right set of values to promote the culture within the organization. So here are some vision statements I have looked at, and I tend to align with them because they are quite interesting. For Sony, they say to be a company that inspires and fulfills your curiosity. Tesla, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. At Late, we tend to say we want to be at the cutting edge for change and help organizations drive worthwhile change using technology and lean process improvement. Have you got a clear vision? Have you got a clear mission within your organization? When these are put in place, this sets up the culture within the organization. And as Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Without a good culture, we are unable to get team members rallying around our products, our services, and helping deliver business value. So let's look at the two typical organizations I have been helping and coaching on my journey. The organizations I've been helping and coaching are small organizations who would have strategic themes, products, and teams. And I've also worked with medium to large organizations. And in medium to large organizations, they tend to have as well strategic themes. They also have a portfolio. They'll have a set of products, multiple products, and then they'll have a program, a team, or an agile release trained safe course to help manage the product delivery, and they'll form it around value streams. We also tend to have teams who are organized around the value stream to help deliver outcomes for the organization. So if in a product life cycle, how does a typical product life cycle look like? A typical product life cycle goes through research and development. And during the research and development stage, we would use the skilled agile framework to help with the development of the product. And then we will launch the product, which the product goes to the market. And when the product is in the market, the sales team could be giving the product owners, product managers feedback on the product. The product goes through its growth stage, and then the product will mature and decline. So if we look at the product during all these stages, the product manager needs to get feedback from all these stages to help prioritize the backlog. We will take a look at SAFE framework to help product managers manage product delivery during the research and development phase. In this particular session, we will not be discussing the introduction, the growth, the maturity, and decline, which are the sales stages of the product. And as a product manager, should I be interested in the introduction, growth, maturity, and decline of the product? I say yes, I should be interested in those stages because I will get feedback on the product and it will help me in refining my backlog. So let's take a look at the SAFE framework that can be used by the product owner, product managers. The Skilled Agile framework for medium to large organizations can be adapted to enable business agility. When we look at the Skilled Agile framework, one area I would like to highlight on the Skilled Agile framework is the customer centricity and design thinking. As a product manager, you are more interested in ensuring that the focus is on the customer. And if you are working on delivering product outcomes throughout your events and throughout your activities, you would constantly be interested in managing your customers' needs. So product managers would take a huge focus on the customer, and they'll use design thinking tools to enable them use the various techniques like personas, customer journey maps to manage the customer's expectations throughout the process. So from a product manager's point of view, we'll use design thinking tools to manage our customers' expectations, and we'll use personas as well to identify our customer groups. I'll be discussing customer centricity and design thinking as we go along. And when I talked about organizations, the medium to large organizations that I tend to work with tend to move towards agile frameworks to help them manage product delivery. And in terms of using agile frameworks, there are agile frameworks that help with teams, and there are agile frameworks that would help large organizations manage all the team of teams. And the most recommended one that I tend to share with organizations is the Skilled Agile framework. There's less, there's that, there's other frameworks, but I tend to focus on the Skilled Agile framework. So what will the product owner be considering on managing the product? The product manager will be having a product roadmap, and on the product roadmap, they will have various milestones. They'll have natural milestones and they'll have artificial milestones. And they will be monitoring the various products as they go along. The products will go through either horizons, where we'll be interested in far products that are in the long term, And we want to think about such initiatives so that when the time comes, we've already prepared the foundation for them. And within the Horizon 0 and Horizon 1, we are making sure that we are working on business priorities that would help us in delivering profits. Horizon 2, Horizon 3 items are focused on items in the long term, and items in the long term should also be considered as part of the product manager's role whilst prioritizing their backlog. So continuously, we want to make sure that as a product owner, you've got a wider view of your product backlog and you are able to manage your product backlog items with the relevant stakeholders. So let's move on to some of the events that the product manager would be taking into consideration as they manage their stakeholders and manage their business priorities. As a product manager, you'll be setting a vision for the product. You want to make sure that all the teams can align with the product's vision. What's the difference between the product vision and the business vision? The business vision takes into consideration all the departments, all the various teams that are involved in the wider organization. And once you take that into consideration, the vision is at the business level is much wider than the vision at the product level. When we go to the product vision, the product vision is just for that particular product, and the product owner will spend quite some time working with senior stakeholders and various product stakeholders to create that particular product vision. The product owner will also be spending some time planning for the product. There's a lot of planning that the product owner would have to do by creating roadmaps, identifying various product features, working with technical teams, working with legal, working with marketing, working with sales to make sure that they all have a good understanding of the product's needs. They will set up a product strategy, they will test the product, they will make sure that throughout the product's development, they are monitoring the product and making sure that they are delivering to the customer's expectation. An important event for the product manager is the product launch. When it comes to the product launch, they've gone through all the sweat and they've gone through all the kicking and begging for the product to go to market. So at the product launch, they want the product to go to market and appeal to the customer's needs. From an agile perspective and from a safe perspective, we're now working on minimum viable products. So continuously, a product owner or a product manager will see multiple launches. And all these multiple launches are helping the product manager assess if their product is going to return the expected benefits. From an agile perspective, as we're having multiple launches, it enables us to consider whether should we continue funding this product or should we stop funding the product. And those help manage the product manager's expectations and also manage those who are funding the product. Here are other activities: product epic creation, epic prioritization, epic sizing, feature backlog refinement. And here are some extra activities as well that the product manager will be doing. So the product manager within a large organization is an extremely busy person. They've got loads of activities to carry out to make sure that whenever a product is launched, the product is delivering business value. As a product manager, what could you be doing? You could be involved in customer interviews, pricing, promotion, distribution, sales support, analytics, branding, positioning, market research. Market research has been considered by most of the product managers as a tasking activity. They do spend lots of time on market research and sometimes do not get the expected outcomes they want. So often product managers say, if we could have a magic wand to know our customers' needs, that would really help us in delivering value to the customer. And there's that popular saying, the customer does not know what they want. And if the customer does not know what they want, then it's a Pandora's search or a Pandora's box search on trying to understand the customer's needs. So a product manager within a safe context can have multiple product owners working for them, and will help the product manager in delivering the expected outcomes. The product manager is considered as customer facing, outward facing, whilst the product owner is considered as inward facing. And in the role within large organizations, we tend to have product managers more going out for market launches, engaging senior management, and it's more of a strategic piece of, they work on more strategic pieces of work to make sure that the product delivers business benefits and they can follow up with a benefits realization. At the product owner level, the product owner is more team focused, team facing, and they work with teams to make sure that they deliver expected outcomes within iterations. But for small organizations, we tend to have one person taking on the role of both the product owner and the product manager, and they would do all the other activities that we identified. So what does the product manager look like? This is a picture I got from one of my classes, and they said the product manager has got multiple hands, multiple eyes, multiple faces, and it's quite interesting. They are very busy and they have to make sure that a lot of things get done. And one of the qualities we identified for a product manager is they need to be a good listener. So they need to also have big ears to listen to the customer. Good listening product managers can help in delivering value to the business and to the customer. Our focus is how do we deliver value to the business and how do we deliver value to the customer. So as a product manager, you start thinking about the product from ideation. You now need to create your backlog. Once you've got your backlog with inputs from various stakeholders, you now need to start thinking about how do I prioritize these backlog items to deliver business benefits and business value to our customers. That takes some time as we identify the relevant stakeholders. From a safe perspective, a skilled agile perspective, what sits in the product manager's backlog? The product manager's backlog consists of epics, features, stories, and tasks. Epics, features, stories, and tasks. The product manager works at epic level and feature level. The product owner will work at story level, while the teams work at task level. And the teams will also give feedback into the stories, into the features, and sometimes their feedback could lead to the creation of a new epic. And this is an ongoing activity, iterative in its nature for the product manager. So, and the product manager cannot do this alone. So they'll need input from various stakeholders, various teams. In SAFE, or in the Skilled Agile framework, it's called the product management role instead of the product manager role. We have the product management role. And the product management role is focused on making sure that we understand the entire backlog and we engage with the various stakeholders, which includes UX design and everyone, to help ensure that we're delivering value to the customer. I would like to share an epic statement which will help in formulating the vision for the product. Here is the epic statement for an Apple ID. So the epic statement for the Apple ID is: for Apple systems who would like to pass information between each other, the Apple ID is a unique user identifier, is recognizable across all systems. User IDs that exist in each separate system will provide the ability to recognize an Apple user across the entire ecosystem, upsell and cross-sell due to functionality that crosses the entire ecosystem, lower attrition rates. And another leading indicator will be developers internally would use the feature to offer cross-system features and features will be enabled by Apple ID to receive high reviews. And then a non-functional requirement will be security encryption. It should be scalable. It should be accessible. It should, security encryption, accessible, and many other things that the technical or solutions architect will be considering, and those who form part of the non-functional requirements. So this at a high level is your epic statement. The epic statement would be revised in forming our product vision. So we could take it from a perspective where we've got the Apple ID for Apple systems. We would find some time to identify keywords that would enable us in forming the product vision, and that's the role of the product manager in doing that. So having got the epic statement, what do we do from there? We start to look at breaking the epic statement or our epics down into features, and then we break the features down into stories, then into tasks. In this particular session, we would only look at the epics, and then we'll look at features. I've got other sessions where we've taken a look at epics, features, stories, and tasks, where we've created the backlog fully. But this session is mainly focused on prioritization. So if we look at it from an airline website, which most of us would have used in buying a ticket for our travels, on the airline website, we will consider the airline website to be our epic. Some of the features we could have on the airline website will be the search engine, payment, cancel reservations, check luggage, and many more. Those are some of the features that we will consider on the airline website. Then from there, we'll identify our actors, start creating stories for the actors, and then the team will start breaking the stories down into tasks. This exercise would help the product manager and the teams build the solution for us or for the intended customer. Whilst building the product backlog, there's a huge need to focus on the customer. And here is what SAFE defines as customer centricity. It's a mindset and a way of doing business. It focuses on creating a positive experience for the customer through a set of products and services that the enterprise offers. So as a product owner, product manager, you are continuously having that mindset to make sure that you focus on creating positive experiences for the customer through the set of products and services you provide. And using this, product managers would also consider design thinking tools. Design thinking, as defined by IBM, is a framework to solve our users' problems at the speed and scale of the modern enterprise. So design thinking focuses on how we can solve our users' problems. First, we'll seek to understand the problems and then develop the necessary solutions for the customer. And we would apply the mindset and various design thinking tools to help us in building the backlog for the customer. As this session is scheduled for an hour, I would like to move more into the prioritization techniques. In other sessions, we'll be taking a look at product owner, customer centricity, and design thinking, and that will be the key focus in the other webinars. So some of the roles of the product owner is making sure that we've got our backlog refined. And in the backlog refinement session, we want to ask the right question. And Deming says, if you do not know how to ask the right questions, you discover nothing. So as a product owner, you are on the quest. And a product manager, you're on the quest to ask the right questions from your stakeholders in the backlog refinement exercise. And one of the key things you will be doing in the backlog refinement session is prioritization. Prioritization has been considered a challenge for most product managers. And similar for my son, when we're having discussions around which car would you like to select, he starts thinking about what to prioritize on. Should I go for a small car? Should I go for a big car? Should I go for all the cars? But as a product manager, you also face such challenges, and it's not so easy to prioritize your product backlog. But we've got techniques that are helping us in prioritizing our backlog. We've got Moscow. Most of you know Moscow. We'll touch on Moscow, Canon Model, Hippo, and the weighted shortest job first. In the Moscow technique, we have must-haves, should-have, could-haves, and would like to have. This has been around for ages. But if you ask a business owner, look at your backlog, prioritize them. What would you like to be the highest priority? They'll always say everything is a must-have. So then, if it happens that way, a technique I also used to add to it is 3-dot voting. Okay, if everything is a must-have, you've got 3 points. Start dot voting on what you think is your highest priority. And that also helps in helping our stakeholders in prioritizing. So Moscow has been around for ages, and most of us are well aware of Moscow prioritization technique. The other is the Canon Model. The Canon Model also helps the product manager in identifying the basics of a product, and also we'll start looking at the lightest of that particular product. So from a continuous discussion with our stakeholder, our customer, we would like to know what's the basic, what will keep the customer satisfied. If we don't have this, we can't take the solution out to the market. And then we will look at items that would dissatisfy our customer. Those are items as well that we have to think about as we engage in the customer. Then we also have to take a look at delighters. And delighters tend to be the key things that when we add to the product, the customers would always want to come back to us and move away from our competitors. And this also helps our product manager in prioritization. There is also the highest paid person's opinion for prioritization. And for this, we always know when you have such a session where you've got the highest paid person's opinion, it's quite a difficult session, and it does not help in creating a healthy environment. This is what we do not encourage within our organization. The highest paid person's opinion is not encouraged at all. So let's move into the weighted shortest job first. It's a prioritization techniques for jobs that was introduced by Don Reinerson in his book, Principles of Product Development Flow. And in the Principles of Product Development Flow, Reinerson asks us to consider certain things when we come to prioritizing our product backlog. He says we should use our duration as the job size, and we are using the Fibonacci sequence for prioritization in this instance. And he's also asked us to consider the cost of delay. When considering the cost of delay, Reinerson says we should look at 3 areas for the cost of delay: the user business value, the time criticality, risk reduction, and opportunity enablement, and the job size. User business value, time criticality, risk reduction, and opportunity enablement. This is a technique that in Reinerson's book works very well within manufacturing, but when you are building software, it also takes some time to, and when you're working within software, you need to bring in the right stakeholders who have a good understanding of the market and would be able to help you in your prioritization exercise. So when we start talking about user business value, what are the key things Reinerson considers for the user business value? Will the customer prefer this over that? And if we don't really take this product out, would it impact our revenue? And I compare this to Nokia and iPhone. I was a big Nokia user, and I remember using the 3210. But when the iPhone came onto the market, initially it was expensive. But would I go back to a Nokia phone, even though Nokia has brought in new phones? That is a question I find it hard to answer. And I'll say Nokia failed to stay ahead of the market when there was a need for them to rethink about the user business value. There's time criticality. Is there a fixed deadline? Will the customers wait or move to another solution? And what's the current effect on customer satisfaction? As a product manager, you would be engaging with stakeholders to understand all these key items whilst prioritizing your backlog. And then we've got risk reduction and opportunity enablement. Would they reduce the risk of future delivery? Is there value in the information we will receive? And how can this enable business opportunities? These are all the key things you'll be taking into consideration. You don't have to do it alone as a product owner and a product manager. You invite the right stakeholders to help you on the prioritization journey. When prioritized appropriately, our experience is the top one. This is a good prioritization. But when we select the wrong priorities, we tend to have this. So as a product owner, product manager, you continuously have to engage with stakeholders to know that, to help you understand the area of the cost of delay. This is one with a very high cost of delay, and it's not encouraging. This one has got a low cost of delay, and that would help you in delivering value to your customer. And how do you go about the weighted shortest job first exercise prioritization technique? I'll share on those, and then we'll wrap up the session. So in terms of the weighted shortest job first, we talk about the cost of delay divided by the job duration. Yeah, the cost of delay divided by the job duration. And here a set of features. Here's the duration, and here is the cost of delay. When we divide the cost of delay by the job duration, this is what we get. And it tells us which jobs we should prioritize. And when using it, we tend to go for the features with the highest weighted shortest job first as the first feature we will start to work on. So in looking at this, let's take a look at an example that I have worked on for this session. So here's an example of the exercise. We've got our product backlog items, and we want to prioritize them to deliver value. Here's our user business value, here's our time criticality, and here's our risk reduction. We've got our stakeholders in the workshop, and everyone is ready and willing to input into the session. We've got, these are the set of features. Initially, we'll look at the user business value. And when we start the exercise, we would always put a 1 in this session. So we've taken a look at this set of features, and we said feature C has got the lowest business value. And when we relatively compare feature C to A, feature A has got high business value, but feature B has got less business value compared to A. So we will always start off with the feature with the lowest business value. When it comes to time criticality, we also do the same. Which of these features has got the lowest time criticality, that we don't have to worry about taking this feature to the market now. Similar, C has got the lowest time criticality, so we assign it a 1. Comparing C to A, they are quite the same, but if we go ahead, if we take A to market early, we might get some good business returns, and we'll meet our customers' needs. B compared to A, B has got high business, high need. We need to go out to the market. We've got probably a customer who's made an order and we need to satisfy that customer's order. Then we'll look at risk reduction and opportunity enablement. Let's take into consideration this. In this particular exercise, we're looking at opportunity enablement. When we compare all the three, B has got the lowest opportunity enablement. When we take it to market, its features, when we take its features to market, there will not be a need to add more features to it because we've reached a point where customers have got other products on the market and there's less opportunity enablement around feature B. But when we take a look at feature C and feature A, they've got higher opportunity enablement. Customers are more interested, and we've got a lot of customer engagement around those particular features. Having done that exercise, we total the exercise, the numbers to get our cost of delay. So 8 plus 2 plus 5 is our 15, 3 plus 5 plus 1 is 9, and that gives us our cost of delay. Our cost of delay divided by duration would help us get our weighted shortest job first. So we've done the exercise and we've realized that if we work on B first, we would have managed the entire process and we would have reduced our cost of delay. However, if we prioritize and say, let's work on A before B, our cost of delay section will be higher. So this is an objective way of prioritization using the weighted shortest job first. And that helps stakeholders who've got the highest paid opinions or those who are shouting the loudest to come around the table, and based on their input, we are able to select objectively. I've had these discussions with various product managers, and they've also been able to run the sessions with their business owners. Initially, it's been considered a very hard exercise because getting an understanding of what the user business value is, what's the opportunity enablement, are not easy data to collate to help in that exercise. But over time, with a market research and a good understanding of the product, we are able to run the weighted shortest job first exercise. But it's not the only exercise that gives us our prioritization. We would also look at the product. We will look at the sequence of the product. We will also think about the market, our competitors, and all of those would impact the prioritization. So it's not always using the weighted shortest job first as the final tool. We will look at other considerations as well. Continuously, we want to build value in the process. I'll say value is the key thing that we should always take into consideration. And I'll finish off with the key takeaways from this session. Continuously align organizational strategy to the product vision and have leadership support at all stages. Create a product management group and identify key business owners. Identify the right stakeholders and invite them to the product backlog and refinement exercise. Size the product backlog items to the right level and collect necessary details for the session. Select appropriate techniques for prioritization workshops and always collect feedback and improve the process. If you've missed anything, these are the key takeaways from this session you should always think about when prioritizing your products. Always align organizational strategy to the product vision, and that's where you get leadership support. And thank you for listening. And I would also like to remind you to continuously stay safe over the weekend. And we would like to start taking some questions. But I think we've got a question here. Halim says he's missed the slides. Would we share the slides? Yes, Halim will be sharing the slides. Thank you, Yusuf.
Yep. So thanks for your very informative session. And surely I think they have some questions. I think because we are short of time, in case if you have, guys, if you have any questions, just type it in the web chat and we will provide you, if you couldn't answer here, we can provide you some, document with all the answers. William, are you going to take any questions from the lady?
Yes, we've got a question from Ravi, and he says, who will provide the ratings? And Ravi, is it around the weighted shortest job first, or is it with, if it's around the weighted shortest job first, ask the question, then the ratings, first you're using the Fibonacci sequence, the updated Fibonacci sequence, which is used for the planning poker. And then with those ratings, you invite the key stakeholders, sales, marketing, if the product requires legal input, and the senior key directors who have a business interest in that particular product, and they would help you in providing those ratings. So we've got a question from Isaac. Also, all of these different prioritization techniques, which do you recommend best? Okay, let me see, which one would I not recommend at all? The hippo is the one, the highest paid person. We all could agree is the worst form of prioritization technique. I would like us to use a blend of all the three. If we have a good understanding of the product and we can sequence the product, there will be no need for us to look at the weighted shortest job first, even though the weighted shortest job first helps us to rethink more about the product. So I would recommend the weighted shortest job first as a good prioritization technique because it helps us think about the product and move away from assumptions. When you use the weighted shortest job first, you start thinking about the business value. You start thinking about time criticality, you start thinking about opportunity enablement. When you start looking at must have, should have, could have, you are basing it on assumptions, and assumptions are not the best approach. The Canon model is also based on feedback you would have received from your various customers and research. But I would also recommend the weighted shortest job first as a final tool if you're unable to clarify your product's priorities, and the weighted shortest job first will help you on the journey of making sure that you select the right product or the right feature for delivery. Daddy. Any other questions?
All right, participants, I think if you have any questions, you're free to ask, or you can, we'll put our contact details on our website and we'll be sending a document as well. You can ask questions at any time if you have, and most probably we will try to answer as soon as possible. Yeah. I think, William, anything, or shall we?
Yeah, we'll say thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining us on such a beautiful Friday morning. I said Friday afternoon, Friday morning for some people, and people joining from all walks of life, all geographical areas. More importantly, if you want more information, go to our website, leanicontechnology.co.uk, and have a safe weekend. Stay safe, and thank you for joining us today.